Hi, everyone. Good evening. Carl Steinbeck here from San Antonio, Texas. The 4th of July weekend, excuse me, is winding up here, and all of you have probably been following this news about the storms, the horrendous floods that have occurred near this area here in South Central Texas. They call it the Hill Country. There's a lot of hills around here, and so it's. I heard 79 or confirmed killed and 11 are still missing, but I heard they found two girls 30 feet up in a tree. They're at this Christian camp along the banks of the Guadalupe River. So there was more rain up further north. So all that was like an hour to an hour and a half from here. So we've only got about 2 inches here within the city limits of San Antonio. So anyway, just keep praying for more folks to be found. Mostly it sounds like there's children that are missing. So Christy Leo, you're saying the story of the two girls was false. I haven't heard that. I heard it was legit earlier today. So can't say that either way then, but hopefully it's a true story, and hopefully we'll have more of those coming forth. So anyway, I thought based on what we talked about Friday night, I heard from y'all saying you'd like to hear more on what's going on with Wendi Adelson and her testimony or indicators of her involvement. Her mom's facing trial here August 19th for first-degree murder. Her brother, former doctor, dentist type, Charlie Adelson's already convicted, life without parole, and he's going to be spending the rest of his life behind bars unless he comes clean and decides to become state's evidence, because that's the only thing that could shave off his time. But he does have conflicted counsel, and I think he's maybe waiting to see how that plays out, his appellate efforts. But even if he gets a case, his conviction reversed, he's just going to be facing a retrial again. So I don't know where that really gets him. So anyway, it's instead of talking about Charlie or Donna, let's talk about Wendi, because she's the main benefactor for this. So I'm going to go ahead and show this here. This was her interview. This is the day that Dan Markel was gunned down in his own driveway, July 14th, as you can see there, 2014. So this is over almost 11 years ago. And so Dan was shot around noonish, 12:20, something like that. I can't recall the exact timing of it, but this is only a couple hours later that she was brought in. She was picked up at a restaurant where she was meeting with some friends of hers. It was like a normal gathering on a Friday afternoon. And so she got there late, and lo and behold, you can see her how she's dressed for that day. You can't really tell from this image here, but this is a owl, like a black shirt with an image of a owl in white. And keep in mind, owls are a symbol of death in a lot of cultures. So I don't know why she'd be wearing an owl. One of her colleges she went to has an owl as a mascot, but this doesn't look like any kind of a university shirt, and it's not like a cartoonish type owl that they have for their mascot type. So anyway, as you go through and listen to this, they're calling this an interrogation. But it's not an interrogation. It's only an interview. The police had no leads to go on. They didn't know anything about why Dan Markel was shot. He was not killed as of yet. He still survived till about 12, 13 hours after the initial strikes. And what I can say is that this whole setup here with them interviewing her, they wanted to find out, what did she know? Because anytime there's a homicide involving a parent or ex-parent, an ex or current spouse is usually the first one they go to, because usually that is the person responsible. So this is how she looked that day. Notice she's got her hair up. She's got sunglasses on. It looks like she's going to be out gardening or something. And so it's not like she's dressed up to go out with her friends, which I thought was a little bit odd. Maybe she does it normally, but if it's not something the way she normally dresses up for friends at a somewhat nice restaurant, then it's sort of, I think, could be a suspicious indicator. So let's go ahead. And keep in mind, she was picked up by Detective Isom in a police squad car. And as I understand, she was told her kids are okay, but that's all she was told. And keep in mind, she also went to Trescott and drove by there and saw the crime scene tapes and all these scores of squad cars and crime scene investigation vans and whatnot in front of Dan, her ex's house, the one that the boys stayed in, the 3 and 4-year-old boys stayed in the night before. She drove by there, saw all that commotion going on, and then just hightailed it out of there. And so the whole way there from the restaurant to the police station, I believe it was about a 20-minute drive. First of all, she's a lawyer. No lawyer is going to get in a squad car and not say, hey, what am I being asked to come down to the police station for? No lawyer would do that. But she just played complicit along with this thing, and she's brought down there. And so you're going to see her reaction. It never once, knowing that all those police cars are in front of Dan Markel's house, and then knowing she's picked up, she didn't freak out about what's going on with Dan Markel. This is a father of her children. She also should have. Anyway, you'll see the different responses she has, but they just don't seem, for my interpretation, they just don't seem like some people would act if they're really surprised about their children's father being gunned down and possibly dying after being struck by bullets in the garage a few hours before this time. So Detective Isom will come here in a second. She's looking at her phone there. She's covering her face a lot. She should have automatically been saying, oh, you're calling, what, this has something to do with, all those police cars in front of Dan's house. What happened to Dan? What happened to Dan? What's going on? None of those kind of probing questions apparently happen. A lot of the hands to the face, hands supporting you, that's a lot of indications of contemplation and deception. Keep in mind, she was not read her rights to remain silent.
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
She said she just listened to her voicemail. This is Detective Isom. He's the one that picked her up. And even listening to a voicemail, think about this. Is she acting alarmed enough?
Who was your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic.
Okay, so look at this. This is a realtor that's been in contact with her. She has her number, and she even is alarmed enough to call Wendi up and alarm her of this situation. Yet Wendi was just by Trescott with all those police cars there, and she didn't even stop to ask the cops what's going on. I mean, this is a huge, major indicator of foreknowledge.
Or even nosy. I don't know. Just checking on you, my friend.
She should have. Any normal person would have been asking, like, say, as a lawyer, you would not even gotten a police car without knowing what's going on. He said, "I'm not going down to the police station. Why? What's happened?" You're here, and I just saw a whole bunch of police cars in front of Trescott. What's going on? Are my kids safe? You would have demanded that kind of information. And even if they said, hey, the kids are safe, well, what happened to them? How do you know they're safe? Where are they at? I mean, you would have been freaking out as a parent. But she just seems all cool, calm, collected, and a lot of hand support, hand covering the face kind of thing.
I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well. And if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. I hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right. You can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay. Do you have your identification with you?
So right there, where's she freaking out? Hey, they're shooting on Trescott. And she's just like trying to avoid thinking about what he's going to be asking her. So she's waiting for him to take the lead on asking her. She's not demanding to know answers. Whatever her kid's been through. Okay, they're safe, but what have they been through? Do they see shooting? Do they see their dad being shot? Is their dad safe? All those kind of questions. It's just, nope.
So you never took the last name of Markle?
No.
Adelson. Wendi with
Keep in mind, she never took the last name Markel. Why didn't she correct him on it? I just caught myself on that. Why didn't she? Let's back up. Why didn't she correct him on that? That's an indicator right there.
Adelson.
He's writing Adelson.
Okay. Wendi with an I.
Wendi with an I.
All right. There was a shooting.
Hold on. Why didn't this back up? Stand by.
Wendi with an I.
Backing up further.
So you never took the last name of Markle?
No.
Man, Markle. You never took the last name Markel? Why wouldn't you say it's Markel? Unbelievable. Your boys were still named Markel, so why didn't you correct Detective Eisen? No, it's Markel. It's not Markle.
Adelson.
Look at how calm. No questions asked. It's like she's just waiting for the moment to try to turn on some fake tears based on what he asked her.
Wendi with an I. All right. There was a shooting at.
Okay, right there, you've been freaking out. Now she's starting to breathe heavy. But watch her hand movement.
Your home or your ex-husband's home at 2116.
Not blurting out a single thing, just waiting.
Trescott. Okay.
She's not freaking out at all. She's sort of like, what are you going to tell me? Acting nervous. But you know what? There's nothing in here to indicate that she is alarmed in the least, like a normal person would be, knowing your boys stayed there the night before.
Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital.
Yeah, no details. Why aren't you probing for details? Freaking out, demanding answers.
He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay. Right there, when somebody's covering up their hands like that, as a police detective, you need to be able to see, are they really crying? Are they fake tears? Are they have waterworks turned on? Some people can turn on waterworks without even really having any sincere emotions to it. So okay, just crying like, hey, denial is a first reaction to grief. Where's the denial here? That sounds fake to me. How about you guys? If you don't think it sounds fake to you the first time you listen to this, watch it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Every time you watch it, it appears more and more contrived. Yeah, that's at Delilah. I can't say her last name, but yeah, that's the one that hired a hitman to kill her husband. The hitman went to the police and they informed her that her husband was killed, and she had a better reaction than Wendy's having here, I would say. That's on YouTube if you want to see it. Is that a reaction of anybody? Just crying like that? She hated the guy. Even a knockdown, drag out, spending a couple $100,000 in custody battle and stuff like that. Were you asking about details about the boys? Or did the boys see anything? Are the boys okay? Where are the boys at? And what do you mean? Where did you get? Who did this? No questions like that at all.
I have a message from him this morning. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay. And then once we've established all that,
Okay, he's right away going into where she was at and all that kind of stuff. And so she knows right there that he wants to see if I was involved in this, but she's not acting like she's that concerned about what's the status of Dan. Tell me more details about the boys. What time was this even? Who did this? All these kind of details are just other than just, well, what happened?
I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
Okay. Right there. She could turn on tears of joy and cover her face and make it look like she's sad, right? People can do that. If this is the first time you've seen this, a lot of you are new to this case. So if any of you you're seeing this for the first time, could you just type in a 1 so I can see that? By some of the comments here, you're saying it's fake, but I don't know if you guys have seen this before. Where's the denial? What? No. What are you talking about? Who did this? What do you mean? You'd be freaking out in his face. I think most people go into shock before they could even cry. Now, I don't. This doesn't sound like sincere crying.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How did this happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me?
He's not offering any Kleenex. Where's she asking for Kleenex, or why didn't she grab some out of her purse?
What time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay.
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
Wait, I tried to drive up Trescott. You were driving on Trescott for a long time until you came up to Dan's house.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure.
It was blocked. Yeah, Trescott was blocked. No, it was There's crime scene in front of Dan's house, a house right next door to Dan's. So you came within half a yard of Dan's house.
Or what time it was
And I
blocked?
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my god, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place.
All these kind of details is suspicious. Why would you telling all these kind of details? Like she's trying to get him. Don't think it's suspicious. I drove to the house there. In case you guys saw me there, you recognize my van. I got to explain that to y'all.
Up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around.
Emphasis on all those details. And it sort of like stopped her from crying, right?
And drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things
Okay.
that would happen.
Where's she asking about Dan? I mean, it's like a foregone conclusion. He's not going to make it. Where's the details about Dan? What do you mean he's not going to make it? What are you talking about?
I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and maybe get super glue for one of the boys' toys, and I was trying to do all I can.
Talk about getting super glue for the boys' toys. I mean, that's really a lot of details. She's more worried about explaining to him that the boys needed super glue, but I don't want to know about their dad. He's not going to make it, but I don't need to know about their dad.
Before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under
Easy
warranty.
for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you
Okay.
want it, because the boys broke the TV.
Now she's
so
going for Kleenex.
he gave
All
me a
right.
choice of fixing it or getting a new one. And
What time did he come to the house?
he called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And then you,
I mean, part of it could also be nerves. She's being questioned. They're wanting to know her whereabouts. I think she's really getting nervous here because she's pulled in within hours of this happening, and she's been there at the crime scene, the murder scene, just a little over an hour and 20 minutes or so after the murder attempt. Dan's in the hospital dying, and she's got no questions, no detailed questions about what's going on with him.
and
Demanding to know who did this. Have you caught the guy that did this?
And after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the
She's saying, "Where are the boys at right now? Tell me they're okay. I need to see the boys," or something like, "I need to see Dan." None of these.
paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was gonna take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry.
Mhm.
And then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party.
Yeah.
Okay, and you went down which road you said?
She's trying to give her story. She's more concerned about giving her story, her alibi, than she is finding out about Dan and the boys. That is a huge red flag, massive red flag here.
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and
It was blocked. Okay. So you turned around. There she admits she turned around. Her last trial testimony, she said she couldn't even turn on Trescott because the whole street was blocked off. She keeps changing her story on that. Cam Lacasse, yeah, most of them have been crazy. Take me to the boys. I have to see they're okay. This has to wait. I need to see my boys now. Yeah, I totally agree. And you also need to go to the hospital, be with the boys there and Dan. No urgency at all.
drove to I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton to Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to
A shortcut to get to Monroe? It's not a shortcut. We've driven that route. It's way out of the way. There's speed bumps. There's no sidewalks. There's all kinds of foliage. It's a narrow street. It's the last place you want to go for a shortcut. And it's way further out of the way. Keep in mind, she went 40 minutes out of the way to go ABC compared to other places she could have gone. And where she was going to lunch, there was liquor stores all around there. That was straight west of her house, and she went in this very south direction from the house she was renting in at the time.
Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with the divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're
Too sad? Really too sad about losing Dan Markel? Really? Okay.
not home, I feel better about driving by the house.
The guy that psychologically abused you for years?
But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton and went to the liquor.
Yeah, she hasn't mentioned her mom or brother yet. Calling 20 people.
store down there on Thomasville,
Yeah.
the one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, yeah, Benton.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah,
And that was sometime after 12?
probably 12:30.
Okay,
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol. And so they wanted bourbon. And I asked the guy, we had a whole conversation about bourbon and
right.
my eyes. Like,
Your eyes?
he just said, your eyes are really blue.
Right.
And
You have contacts?
I do.
So the guy at ABC Liquor is talking about her blue eyes, and she throw that kind of detail. That's a huge, huge red flag. If someone talks about that level of detail and they just found out the kid's dad's basically dying, in the process of dying in the hospital. Seriously, and you're talking about your blue eyes that have, they're fake blue eyes with a fake blue lens. Unreal.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's
You'd be like, who cares about the details? I want to see my boys. We can do this later. I need to see Dan. I need to get to see Dan. And I need to see my boys. I need to be confirmed they're okay. And none of that.
I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street, it's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville. If you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then from that point, you went straight.
Yeah, Monroe's incorrect. So that's a hotel where the hitman stayed. That's correct.
To the
Went to Mosaic
Mosaic restaurant?
and met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting and I had
Yep, that's the hitman. Hey, you know what I'll do? Let me put this on closed caption. Sorry, I should have done it earlier.
hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up
What time did you get to Mosaic?
about 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1 and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay.
Mosaic's a restaurant. Keep in mind that's in the north part. It's west of where she lived, and she went way south to go to this ABC Liquor, and there's other liquor stores up near her house and where that restaurant was. So it's a complete massive 40-minute detour.
All right, I know it's cold in here. Okay.
I think that's not why. I'm
Okay,
shaking.
I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
What did she say? How about me?
He's
Do I say me? That makes me a prime target then. You're already the first one wanting to see my whereabouts to see if I have an alibi or not. I'm giving you an alibi, but why don't you go ahead and say it?
oh God.
I hate to ask it.
Yeah, now she's freaked out. Oh my gosh. How do I bring up the fact that we've been doing this knockdown, drag out litigation?
Now, but I have to do it now. You
I
understand, right?
understand. I understand.
It's right there's a diversion. Starts crying as a diversion because she's thinking, how do I deal with this? Who has something against Dan? Okay. How do I say me? I have had years. This guy's been psychologically abusing me for years. I finally got a divorce. He won't let me bring the kids and live permanently in Miami with the boys.
He. I mean, he had friends. He was. He always.
She doesn't bring up the fact that she was facing contempt of court by Dan's lawyer, Steve Webster, that they said that she wasn't qualified to. It brought up her behavior in these court actions, made it questionable whether she was fit to practice as a professor for FSU Law School.
meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone who would do something like this.
Anybody?
Okay, rubs people the wrong way, but not to do anything like this. Okay, so he was a decent guy here, right?
That he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me.
He owes money to you?
Oh, to me. Okay, so now you got the money angle. He's not been paying you. Why didn't she mention that? Yeah, he's supposed to give me $120,000, I think it was. And he's been fighting me in court over that because I don't turn things over, including the family heirloom ring from a Holocaust survivor on the Markel side of the family.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay. All right.
Not me.
Oh my God, we're poor kids.
So then she starts boo-hooing more when it looks like she's got motivations there. Yeah. She starts boo-hooing more when it looks like there's indicators for her. So turn on the waterworks. That'll buy you some time and sympathy.
I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine,
Well, let me back up. That was...
I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like
Didn't really love him. Okay, now she's starting to open up a little bit more. Didn't really love him. All right. No real enemies, but here now we don't have people that really... There's some people out there that don't really love him.
this.
well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay.
Wait, why would she bring up... How would she know that? He wouldn't do this to himself? Okay. Why would you bring up suicide? Like, hey, maybe you're throwing it out there. Maybe suicide. Have you ruled out suicide?
He's a very positive person.
Okay.
Know,
No.
Well, if he's a very positive person, then he's not going to be mean to people. Very positive people are usually not mean to others.
One that you know of or that he's spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
no one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know, like,
Right.
If he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it. But I mean,
What do you mean if he had something going on, you wouldn't know about it? What's that supposed to mean? You knew about Amy Adler, his girlfriend up there. You couldn't stand the fact that she was talking to the boys and stuff. via Zoom when Dan had custody.
I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where.
I lost my voice earlier this week. Really? So that you couldn't even talk to Dan the whole week of his murder. He got murdered on he got shot on a Friday right after noon, 12 noon-ish. And then he died 1 o'clock sometime the next morning on Saturday, the 19th. So you don't talk to them the whole time, and they have this whole issue about where the boys are attending school. You entered them in a private school raffle type system to see if they could get accepted. Both of them got accepted, and you never talked to Dan about it. And he's playing phone tag with you, and you're avoiding him because you can't talk. You lost your voice. Really? Look how strong her voice is now. She's in this interview for 5 hours.
Where he was gonna go, and he I can't. I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not
Again.
anyone who would like
A lot of people didn't love him. Code for a lot of people hated him. I'm just trying to soft sell it to you, Isom.
hate him. He meant well.
Oh, I don't think anybody would hate him. So now she's bringing up hate. How about you? How about any of the Adelsons? How about your brother, your parents?
Everyone that knew him knows that he means well, but he's can be a little like argumentative,
Right.
but not
A little argumentative. So bring up all of his bad points you don't like about him that drove you nuts.
he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He didn't do.
Wait, his kids? Now they're his kids. I thought they're both your kids. Do you not consider these your kids as well? That's sort of an odd comment right there to make. Take care of his kids. So you can't even go to the point. This is an indicator of hatred, I would say. You can't even mention our boys. You say his kids. Take care of his kids. So like the fact that they're associated with him, it's like, ooh, that's. Then they're being more Markel instead of Adelson. So they're really his when he's with them. But they're only mine when they're with me, kind of thing. It's just really bizarre.
He wasn't involved in anything bad. I
And
can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school.
Okay, sort of this hyperventilating and stuff like that. She's saying, I can't believe it, but she's not in denial yet. She's not asking statements of denial, saying, no, you this can't be so.
School, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
No questions about the kids yet. We're 13 minutes into this. No details about the kids and no details about Dan.
And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
Why does she keep throwing up the issue of suicide? That's really bizarre. You're bringing up suicide. You're not even asked how he was shot, where he was shot. They said a shooting, and she recalls a shooting, but they obviously would see a gun there, right? Why didn't you ask, was there a gun there? And then that would have clarified it, whether it was a suicide or not. So very bizarre, extremely suspicious.
Do you know his girlfriend?
I met her once in the last couple of weeks. She was visiting. She lives in New York.
Okay. Do you know anything about her?
I know some things about her. She's also a law professor. I know she's recently divorced and she has a son. I don't know if her divorce is final, but I think recently divorced.
Where's she a law professor at?
At NYU. And they seemed very happy. And I mean, I think that was a really good thing in his life. He seemed really happy about it.
Yeah.
She came down here.
Look at all these details she's given on Amy Adler. Like, hey, you don't know if she's really divorced yet, and they've been seeing each other. She's seen the kids. A lot of details there, but not any questions about Dan. Where's your questions about Dan? Where's your questions about where the boys are at? What are they doing right now? What did they see? Were they there at the shooting? Did they witness the shooting?
I met the boys, and I met her, and she told me how great she loved the boys. You know, like it seemed fine.
She ever stay at the house with him?
Just that one time.
How great she loved the boys. A lot of details. Wow.
When was that?
I remember because I just got back from being with my family in South Florida.
Yeah, she had 2 weeks. 2 weeks down there with her parents and her brother of Florida, Charlie Adelson, the one that's now a convicted murderer, of Professor Dan Markell. And remember, she had asked Dan about whether his whereabouts would be right around these days of the shooting. She sent that text message about 10 days earlier.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're doing great.
So what date was it?
What's the deal? She's not acting appropriate, I would say, based on the fact that she's not in denial yet. That's one of the main indicators, I think, of sudden tragedies. And when you're in denial, you ask a lot of details. And she's a lawyer, for crying out loud.
I went with my family. It was my dad's 70th birthday, and we went home for it. So his birthday was the 5th. I left Monday the 30th, so she must have come into town Saturday.
So you're giving all these details about Amy Adler, trying to steer him in that direction. What difference does this make? He didn't ask about all those details, did he?
Evening of the 28th.
What month? June? This past June?
Just now. So June 28th. And then she was there with the boys the 29th, and then I met her on the morning of the 30th when I picked up the kids.
Wow, all this stuff. She's talking about her kids, and she not even asked about her own kids, who might have just witnessed a shooting of their dad.
To take them to South Florida.
Do you know when she left?
I could probably find it. The email and stuff.
Video
I think she was
sounds
here
off
for
all
like
the
one
way.
more day, and then Danny went up to New York because I was with the kids in Miami for a good long while. I was there. I drove back July 10th, so I was there almost 2 weeks. And so I think he went up the next day.
Okay. Do you know her name?
I do. It's Amy Adler. Oh my gosh.
A.D.
Adler.
And she's a professor of law at NYU.
Why would you begin all these details about Adler and not focus on what really matters?
I have no idea. I know she has a car. She lives in New York City.
Well, so I mean, she was driving down. I mean, she flew down here, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have her phone number?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know how long they were dating even. It seemed kind of serious if she met the kids, but I don't really know. He's been going up to New York for like conferences and stuff since Lincoln was about a few months old. So he's been going up there 3.5 years. So my guess was that they might have known each other for a long time, but have been dating. I don't know how long.
Well, let me ask you something. Does his relationship with her have anything to do with your all's divorce?
No.
No, it had nothing to do with
No.
an extramarital affair or anything?
No, but the only thing I'm thinking is Amy. I don't know what Amy's full divorce situation is like. So if you're gonna think of someone who's not thrilled with Dan,
All this is deflection here, just trying to have the detective pursue that lead. Somebody up in New York City, maybe a jilted ex, maybe Dan is breaking up that marriage, and you need to look down that road. This is a vindictive strike against Dan for something like that. So it's just a ruse here.
Danny, I don't know how happy her husband or ex-husband is with the situation.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
So you know Amy Adler, she's a
Look at this.
professor at NYU.
Stop to think. If you're a detective sitting there, if I'm sitting there as a detective, I'm just sitting there thinking, when is she going to start asking about details of the shooting? He's not going to make it, you said. And how do you know? Why don't you know? What do you mean he's not going to make it? How do you know that? I want to be there. I want to find out for myself. None of that.
She was down here from the end of June through the first part of July,
I think just a few days.
right?
Yeah.
As visiting, but he'd been seeing her when he goes to New York on these conference
Yeah.
trips.
Well, he's in New York in the summertime. We have a week on, week off schedule with the boys. So whenever I have them for a week, he goes up to New York for a week. So he's been spending a lot of time up there.
Did he relate to you that he'd been seeing her up in New York, or that's where they met, or anything of that nature?
He didn't tell me about it, but I feel like he was pretty vocal with like our friends and people probably since December about her being his girlfriend. So
Okay. Who would be his best friend?
So since December, and this is July, so that's 6 months plus 7 months.
when we were still together, he had two best friends. Neither of them are in Tallahassee. Oh my God, I'm completely blanking on their last names right now.
That's
There's
okay.
Matt Price, that was his best man at our wedding. And Josh Berman, who Matt is in DC and Josh is in New York. Actually, he has a friend. I don't know if they're so close, but he and the boys sleep over at their house a lot. They're in Cairo, Georgia.
Okay.
That's probably his closest friend here.
Do you know his name?
His name's Alex Greenberg. He's a veterinarian in town, and they've got kids around the same age as our.
Yes, good point, Sharma Lily. When did it happen? How did it happen? Where did it happen? It said at Trescott. Where? In the house? Where? None of these details she wants to know.
Kids.
Is a vet here in town?
Mm-hmm. And I think
Do you know
they're
where his
close.
office is?
I don't. Maybe in Cairo.
Oh, he doesn't have an office in Tallahassee.
I don't think so.
He's a vet in Cairo.
Their house is in Cairo. His wife is a dentist.
I think it's like 25 miles north and on the state line there with Georgia. Not in Florida, but close by.
I don't know if her practice is in town or in Cairo either. His wife is Maya, MYA.
Okay. You're being very helpful. Okay, I know it's hard.
I'm trying.
You're doing
can't
fine.
believe what's happening.
You're doing fine. I know it's all the shock. I know it's coming.
But you don't know what's happening either because you're not asking any questions. Why aren't you asking about your kids? Why aren't you asking about Dan? We're almost 20 minutes into this.
To you all at once. Okay.
I don't know who would do this.
Okay. Well, it appears from what we've seen.
Okay. She's wanting to see who the suspects are, right? I don't know who would do this. Can you tell me?
Seen so far that someone intentionally hurt Danny. Okay, intentionally. Okay, I don't
Do
think.
you know who it is?
No, and I don't
What if
think.
they come after the boys?
I don't think that's going.
Okay, this is a good question. If you were part of this, that's a good question. What if they come after the boys? So what about yourself? And this is a good reason to flee town, right? Because you can only say, "Whoa, we don't feel safe here." What if they're going to kill me as well, or the boys?
I have no indication at this time that that's a threat. Okay, but the boys are going to stay with you. You're not going back over to Trescott. Okay.
No, I don't live there anymore.
I know you don't.
Yeah. Okay. She's able to point that out.
But the boys are going to stay with you.
But no more details about Trescott.
Okay. And they'll be fine.
I don't know if I can take care of them like this.
All right. Where's your closest family?
Another indicator. I got to leave Tallahassee. That could be a clue right there. Setting up her reason to flee this Tallahassee area within the next couple days. And she was gone that following Monday. This is a Friday, 3:06 now p.m. in the afternoon, and she was gone that Monday morning.
Family at?
My family actually just talked to my brother this morning. My parents are in Coral Springs.
Okay.
And my brother, I have two brothers, but I'm very close to one of them who is in
Only close to one of her brothers. Keep that in mind.
in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're from originally, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
His family's in Canada. Did they know? Did you tell them?
No, they haven't been notified
Oh
yet.
God.
Oh, here we go. Do the Markells know? She wants to know. What are they going to tell Detective Isom about her being a suspect?
His parents are gonna be devastated.
That sounds fake.
Okay. This is what I want to do, okay? This is what happened, okay? Daniel's been shot, okay? And we have to find out why and who did.
He's been shot, but she doesn't ask where. How do you know he's not going to make it? Where's he been shot at? Yeah, Mike H. Doesn't it sound like it's been rehearsed?
This. Can you help with that?
I will try.
Okay. What I want to do right now is try to expedite things, okay? But I need your permission. Is I want to take your cell phone and download all the information out of it.
Sure.
Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. And then we're going to make arrangements for you to get the kids, or we'll get the kids somehow, okay? Because the kids are at day.
She would be wanting to know, I got to see the kids. I got to talk to the kids. I need to do something. I need to be with them and comfort them. What do they don't know anything right now. You can be saying, we got to get to the hospital. We got to see Dan. What's the status of Dan? What do you mean don't think he's going to make it? Who did this? What are you doing to hunt him down?
Take care, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to need their mother,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
They're going to need their mother. She's not worried about that from the sounds of it here.
Got to get a form for you to sign, and then I'm going to get the phone started, okay?
Oh my God.
Now, obviously, she's not going to have stuff on her phone because she understands that she's going to be interviewed as a suspect to rule out her involvement. That's a standard knowledge that an attorney like her would have, even though she doesn't practice criminal law.
I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had two of them up there for a last minute lunch date, right?
Last minute.
Well, I mean, you went up there, you're sitting with them. You have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now she's needs to indicate more. She realizes that they're going to look more and more into her background with Dan. So now she needs to explain the abusive side of Dan. She hasn't brought up yet their knockdown, drag out, fighting over the kids and the violations of the court order having to do with the treatment of the kids, and your mom, Donna, referring to Dan as stupid and words like that when she's talking about Dan in front of the kids. So now she's got to show that Dan is really an ugly kind of guy. He's really abusive. So now she's switching her game here because she's worried about how much more they're going to dig up on her, and that they're not right away closing the door on this. They still want to follow up and ask her more details.
And I'm so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
So this would be good somehow because Danny was so abusive to you, they want to kill him. Man, that must be quite the monster. this guy must be a monster, because you first said nobody would hate him enough, but now you're saying they'd hate him enough to kill him for you, and they wouldn't even tell you that they're killing him, right? Does that make any sense?
Are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
I don't know.
Who would do this? I need to know what you know so I know how to answer other questions.
That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay.
You have the consent
Do
form
you think
for
someone
computer.
would do this for your
her
benefit
phone.
without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV.
Now she wants to get ahead of this thing because Charlie has talked about it. Now she's thinking, hey, you're going to be doing more research on me and maybe my family, specifically my brother. So I better get in front of the story and make myself look innocent by throwing my brother under the bus, my brother Charlie.
For me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like,
Why would you be talking to him this morning about it when the tech guy already showed up? He showed up there about 8:20. He held him there for about 40 minutes. You'd have to talk 18 minutes to your brother about a cracked TV screen? Unbelievable. It's not credible.
he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said,
Oh, now the ugly side of Dan Markell you got to project now there, right? Because he's not let you leave the room yet. She got scared when he asked for her phone. Even though she had it clean, she's thinking this is getting serious, and they're going to do more of a deep dive into my involvement and what kind of problems I was having with Dan and what kind of court battles we had.
I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you.
So here you go. She's mentioning a hitman 23 minutes and 38 seconds into this interview. And that's exactly how Dan was murdered, by hitmen that drove all the way up, that had contacts with the South Florida Adelsons. Is that just a coincidence?
This TV. I mean,
Yeah, it
he would
looked like she's
never.
smiling.
He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right.
Again, too much details. You're talking about a hitman your brother was joking about, but he got this TV and said, why would you mention that TV guy? It just sounds so contrived. It's so much like you're trying to plant all these little nuggets of details to make yourself look innocent. It's just so highly, highly suspicious.
That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I
Yeah,
said
it's
I
an
didn't know
interview, no
this was a
Miranda.
gift because my brother said it's cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing to say. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's such a horrible thing to say, but you never told your brother to stop saying it, and you repeated it, so now all of a sudden it's a horrible thing, right?
But even my family, who felt like I had been mistreated, would never do something like this. Never.
Well, it's been.
So now she's trying to say, look, my family's not involved, even though he's been mistreating me so bad for these years. They're not involved. They're not involved, detective. Don't look down that road.
For over a year. Has there been any type of abuse in that time?
Of him towards me?
Yeah.
No. It's
No.
he's litigious, and we have an.
Yeah, he's litigious. So now you got to get in front of this story to make it look like he's abusing you through legal means, that he's making up stuff about you and your mom, right?
Ongoing case because the house, it shouldn't be, I don't know, it shouldn't be in my name anymore, but when we settled the case of our divorce, he said, or one of the agreements the court said was Danny wanted to stay in the house. They said, you can have the house, but you need to pay her half of the amount of what the house is worth. And he agreed to it. And then months passed and he just never paid me.
Yeah, but she doesn't say why he didn't pay her. Dan thought he's not going to give her 120 when she's sitting there not turning over stuff that she was supposed to turn over, which is including the Holocaust survivor Markel great aunt he had that had a wedding ring that survived the Holocaust, a Nazi death camp in Germany. She survived, and this ring was like, imagine how much that is a prized possession of the Markel family. And you know what? And she won't give that back. Is she going to mention that here?
And so we have ongoing litigation where
All because of Dan being litigious, right? And he's not paying you the money. So it makes it look like she's having to bring him to court, right?
I filed a motion in the court to have him pay me what he said he would, and he filed a counter motion for sanctions against my attorney because he thought that she did something wrong, which she didn't. But so, I mean.
Okay, so now she's getting into some of the details of the case, but she's again making Dan out to be the one that's in the wrong on this litigation aspects. And he was going to win. Remember what his attorney Webster testified to, is that he had a very strong case to hold her in contempt.
She withdrew from the case and was going to serve as a witness. I mean, she's not going to lash out at him.
So now you got witnesses having to withdraw because Dan brought up something that drew an improper. So she's not going to lash out at him. Man, this Dan guy sounds like a nasty guy from what you're saying here. Lawyers are having to withdraw because he's making false accusations against them. Completely different picture you're painting now of Dan Markel than what you did in the first 10 minutes.
For it, she's using the legal process to do it. My parents are, very angry towards him. But
oh, now they're very angry towards him. You said before you don't want anybody that hate him though, right? So which is it?
Even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father.
Why would you get in front of that story? Because that's one of the things that was brought up in court in the motions. Dan saying that not only are the kids not allowed to talk to him as scheduled and part of the divorce decree, he had specific things in there saying like on nights he could not see the boys, like on a Wednesday night. If he wasn't seeing the boys that night, there would be a Zoom call that he would be able to have with the boys. But you know what? Wendi would not be granting that. And so he was upset about that. He also had first right of visitation if Wendi was going out of town. If Dan was still there, then she had to give the boys to Dan, but instead should have other people take care of the kids, denying Dan visitation, and that obviously was not in compliance with the court decree. So there's all this kind of mind game stuff that was going on to mess with Dan's visitation. So she's trying to get ahead of that now. So the story keeps building on motivations based on animosity and hatred of Dan Markel by her and her family.
They're really, really careful about that. They just like him, but they know he's the father of my kids. They would never do that.
Right.
I don't know who would be angry enough with him.
Well, that's what I have to
They would never do that. They'll just joke about it, right?
find out.
To do something like this.
You sound like what?
The brother that you
What happened? How do you know what happened? You haven't asked about it. Where's your denial? Unreal. Yeah, I don't buy any of this. I don't know about you guys. Anybody out there think this is sincere crying of somebody that doesn't have any foreknowledge?
Close to. I have to do a lot of elimination at the same time. The brother that you're really close to, the one that joked about the TV and everything, what'd you say his name was?
Charlie.
Charlie, and he's in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what kind of car he has.
Oh, this is a good one here. Look, 26 minutes in, you think her voice would be crackling and she'd be losing her voice again, but no. She keeps talking. We got another 4.5 hours.
He has like 5 cars.
Can't tell me all of them.
He drives a, I think one of them is an unmarked police car.
Oh, really?
He's a bit of a character.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's
Really bit of a
driving.
character. See, a police car, meaning like, hey, he likes cops. He's like friendly with cops. He drives a police car because he wants to make people know he's a law and order kind of guy.
At the time.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he's a periodontist, and he has this practice where he works from early in the morning till late at night. So
Yep. So he has no time to plan a murder. Yep. No time at all. Way to get that out there front loaded. So don't have Detective Isom bother to call him. He's not going to have time to answer because he's got patients he's got to attend to. You get that, Isom? Leave him alone. It was just a joke.
if you ever wanted to find his whereabouts, he's working all day long
Okay.
until early in the morning till late at night, always driving to a different office working.
Oh, he goes to different offices?
Yeah, he works in different offices all over South Florida, does implants for people, and he works really hard all the time.
Really hard at times. So don't bother him. He's got patients to attend. Isom, back off. I'm having the finger pointed at him instead of me, but don't follow up on this lead I'm giving you.
He has a girlfriend, so he's pretty much accounted for all the time.
Charlie.
Yep, he's accounted for. There you go. He's got an alibi. So there's no involvement to South Florida Adelsons. Open and shut case.
Is that his first name?
Charlie's his first name.
Not Charles?
I think Charles is his legal name.
Yeah, why don't you give him his legal name?
What's his last name?
See, right there's a little indicator. You don't want him to really find the real brother of yours.
Adelson.
What's his middle?
J-A-Y.
Same spelling, Adelson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What?
What? Oh my gosh. I
What?
can't believe this is happening.
Okay, all right. Let me go get the form for the phone.
Do you want
Yep, hold on. He hasn't got the form yet, right? So let's back up here.
Oh my god.
What?
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, he's wanting to know the details of her brother, how to spell the name, even his middle name. And now she's freaking out because she's like, uh-oh. The whole investigation now is focused on me and my family. She's starting to freak out here.
I
What?
can't believe this is happening.
Okay, all right. Let me
Who would
go
do
get
this?
the form for the phone.
Do I need to
Uh-oh.
be read my Miranda rights or something?
Uh-oh. She's worried the law's coming after her. But 27 minutes and 48 seconds in, she still is not wanting to know details about Dan. And what about how she can meet her boys and why she want to go see Dan?
If you're gonna look at my phone.
Did she ask what hospital he's in? Did she say, hey, wait a minute, I got to call the Markells, let them know? None of that. What about any of Dan's closest friends there? Is she alerting them, hey, go up and see Dan. He may not make it. None of that.
I can read you Miranda if you want to hear
I don't
that.
know, I'm just trying to make sure I'm being
I have no
protected.
reason.
She's bringing up Miranda before she brings up how he was shot and where he was shot, what time he was shot. You know, all those details are not even asked. Did the boys see the shooting? None of those details are asked.
I have no reason at this point to suspect you in this incident. Okay.
I couldn't tell from the way you were talking to me in the car if I was a suspect.
Well, no, and the reason was I didn't want to get into everything until we got.
So she's worried about her being a suspect here. Let's back up.
And read you Miranda if you get the form for the phone.
Do I need
Getting that form is scaring her. Details about her brother scaring her.
to be read my Miranda rights or something if you're gonna look at my phone?
I
So Miranda rights are tied to a phone. Okay. Do you not know the difference? Miranda is for an in custody questioning. You're not in custody. You're free to leave. They don't have enough details. You're the first person they're interviewing about this case. And they're just going on down the line. They don't have anything to hold you there and arrest you yet. So obviously she's given a whole bunch of clues. I mean, we got something here virtually every minute. There's a clue or more of something amiss.
Can read your Miranda if you want to hear
I don't
that.
know. I'm just trying to make sure I'm being
I have no
protected.
reason, I have no reason at this point to suspect you in this incident. Okay?
Detective Eisen has a very calming voice, and he's acting like he's clueless on this. I think he was buying it that she's not involved in this. So I think the tears worked and all that. So I think he did good in the sense that he got her to keep talking. But it's like about 40 minutes in, I think he was like, oh, nah, she's not involved in it. That's my impression anyway.
I couldn't tell from the way you were talking to me in the car if I was a suspect.
Well, no, and the reason was I didn't want to get into everything until we got up here.
Yeah, you couldn't understand if you're a suspect or not, but yet you didn't ask details and say, I'm not getting in the car, tell me more details. So you could have forced him to answer those questions there at the restaurant and said, I'm not leaving my friends. Tell me what's going on. You would have right away blurted out something like, oh my gosh, you're here because of what I saw at Trescott, all those cops and the crime scene van and all that kind of stuff. But nope, just playing dumb with it.
Is he
Okay.
still in the hospital?
He's at the hospital, yes. Yes.
And he's alone.
Oh, he's alone. Okay.
Nobody knows he's there.
Well,
Okay, you're trying to find out information here. Then why don't you tell him, hey, call these people. I want to go up there. I want to bring the boys up there. Even if you don't want to see have the boys see their dad and the condition he's in, don't you want to at least be there in the hospital with them?
you know now, and while I'm going to get this phone taken care of, I'm gonna have a victim advocate come in here, and hopefully you can supply her with his parents.
Oh my God.
I'm assuming his
Oh no, the parents. Oh my gosh, they're gonna tell you I did it. I had something to do with it.
parents would be his next of kin.
He's a sister he's really close with.
Where is she?
They're all in Canada. He's Canadian.
Okay. All right, they live in Canada.
They all live in Canada.
Okay.
His family's all in Canada.
Okay.
They're gonna think I did it.
No, now, just don't jump to conclusions on that.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
All right, let me go.
Yep. Again, more information that's going to come out about the knockdown drag out she had and all the accusations Dana had against her in those divorce proceedings is going to come to light. And then she starts crying again, trying to get sympathy from this detective.
I'll get the form for the phone, okay?
Oh my God.
So she's blowing her nose, but she's not wiping her eyes. She's hyperventilating. Where's the details about how Dan was hit? Who hit him? What are you doing to follow up on leads? All those kind of things. Nothing. No demands to see the boys. And think about it. This is only not even 30 minutes in. She's there for another 4+ hours.
Sorry, you okay?
No.
I meant to.
It's fine. Our last interaction wasn't nice.
Oh, you're talking about personal.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted to.
I think any attorney knows if you get called, if you have police showing up and they want to bring you down to the station, there's something that, and they don't tell you what's going on, then it's something very bad and you're not going to get in the squad car. You're going to say, hey, I'll follow you down there. But if they're asking you to go in the car, I think any attorney should know that, hey, I'm a suspect of something. But you'd say then, I'm not getting in the car unless you tell me what's going on.
to have them. And I talked over with my brother and realized, if their dad wants to take them swimming, it's not worth getting upset over. He sent me that message at 9:15 this morning.
You were telling me before.
Why would
we
they
were
think-
riding up here
Why would the Markells think you did it? Why?
that the agreement was that you're all going to have some type of phone call at 11:15 this morning. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly, just that we needed
Okay.
to have the talk at some point before, we have to decide before Monday of what to do about his school, where Ben's gonna go to school, and he said, I'm gonna be done. I thought it was 11:15, but when we listened to the message, it was 10:30.
Okay.
When he said, I'm gonna be out of.
She just sounds way too calm. She doesn't sound in shock, a state of shock at all.
He went to like a workout class at the gym. He
At
said,
Premier.
At Premier.
Mhm.
He said, I'm gonna be out of it by such and such a time, you could call me then. And I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him. Well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
The repair guy was
Yeah. She's looking at her phone already on that. He calls you. Why didn't you call him back? You never called him back.
there, and honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in.
Okay, but you knew that the conversation was supposed to happen, and you ignored him that whole week.
He left me a message. I called him at 11:42.
Yeah.
And left him a message. Just saying, okay.
11:42. She waited all that time because she was expecting the prosecution. I believe I'll be arguing. She was expecting some news that a mission was accomplished, but she hadn't got it. And guess what? Dan did not answer his phone at 11:42.
I want to talk about school for Ben, and I assume I'll see you at 4:30 today. When I figured he's going to take the kids swimming,
Right.
and he'll drop them at the house at 4:30.
Okay. So in other words, the whole meeting at 10:30 or 11:15
Just
didn't
didn't
happen.
happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Let me get this. There's a lot of information on here. Okay. It'd probably be easier if I read it to you.
Fine.
Okay. I, Wendi Adelson, and I got to change this.
Adelson.
I know I got to change that.
It's okay. It's AD.
What kind of mother, when the kids are with their dad, has their ringer off anyway? Doesn't that seem odd?
Adelson.
Actually, it's spelled right. I've said it wrong. Adelson. Do hereby authorize and give my permission to Investigator Isom, who has identified himself to me as a law enforcement officer with necessary assistance of a digital forensic examiner to make a full and complete search of my cell phone or other digital media, along with data located on additional data sources, location.
I think this is scaring her. I mean, even though this would have been, if you expected he called in there, this would still be scary. Having to fill this out. You think you got everything deleted. What if there's something there you thought you deleted, but you hadn't? So
Such as connected to at and were at the Tallahassee Police Department. That's the address. I have been advised that law enforcement are engaged in investigation concerning an alleged violation of federal or state law pertaining to a shooting incident. I do further authorize and give permission to take from my cell phone located at 230 47th Avenue.
I'm sorry, is that the police station?
That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Computers, cell phones, computer peripherals, digital media data, which may or may not have been connected.
I think Detective Isom was just sort of like not thinking somebody that's working for FSU law school, even though she's just an adjunct teaching a few hours a week. I think that he just thought people are not going to do something like this. Wealthy people. And the way she was acting, I think he wasn't suspicious.
connection, value, or relevance as evidence in said investigation. The above law enforcement officer has fully and fairly advised me on rights as follows. I have the right to refuse consent of the search of my property. I have the right to consult with an attorney or any other person of my choice prior to giving him consent and permission to search the above described property. Any cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media or data, along with any data.
Yeah, they should have gotten her computer phones, computers besides the phone, her office computers at FSU, her personal computer. They should have asked for all that, and they didn't.
To locate on these items or on additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, found by said officers in the course of their search, can be used as evidence against me or others in a court of law. I fully understand and appreciate these rights and wish it be specifically understood that I'm hereby giving consent permission to conduct the search of the cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media data, along with any data located on any additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, solely because of my desire to freely and voluntarily cooperate and assist in this investigation. I have not been promised anything or been threatened or coerced in any way, nor has any inducement of any kind been held out to me in return for this consent and permission to search.
Yep. Very nervous.
Okay, can I have your phone now?
Yeah.
Does it sound like she's scared for the
Stupid
kids or
question,
Dan?
Go ahead.
but Are you gonna give it back?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
I
yes.
just,
Or is she more worried
I feel
about her
like I
phone?
need
She's more
to
worried about her
tell
phone
my
there.
you're gonna
family what's
Am I going to get it back? She's more worried about that. It seems like, doesn't it?
going on.
No, you're gonna get it back. It's just I'm trying to expedite this now so I can get it back to you sooner.
I understand.
Be right back.
Where's all the questions? Where's all the denials? Why no details? What are you doing to catch the killer? Hey, the trial channel's here. Are you guys going to cover some of this case?
Okay, Wendy. Let me get your.
That's the friend I was with calling. Do you want to just decline it? I guess I should talk to anyone right now.
Yeah.
Is there someone I can talk to about what to tell my kids?
Yes, we're gonna get to that. Give me your phone number on this phone again.
95.
Okay, she's worried about what to tell the kids, which is understandable under these circumstances if this is a surprise to you. But you know what? She's not urgently asking to see the kids. And she's, keep in mind, she's going to stay there another, she's going to stay there a total of over 5 hours.
54-803-0079.
Can I get Daniel's cell phone number?
202-276-8200.
202-276-8200. Okay. Do you know his
Yeah, I just looked for this interview on the trial channel today and it did not find it. So
passcode to unlock his phone?
I don't.
You don't know
I don't have a passcode.
it?
When
Right.
I was with him, he didn't have the kind of phone that needed a passcode.
okay, good.
But he's got an iPhone since then.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
he may have one. And I can't remember, like actually I remember his passcode to something, but it was like a word in Hebrew with the word one, so it's a word and not numbers. I could give you my children's birthdays in case you want to try that.
No, she had a lawyer ready to go here. She had a lawyer by Monday, so there was no polygraph. They never got to talk to her again after this.
I really have no idea what it would be.
They've had her testify in court through a subpoena, but they've not had her be cooperative and testify without a lawyer there, or just be interviewed without a lawyer there. The only time she's been giving any further information and testimonies when she's forced to comply with the subpoena.
Okay, let's go ahead with the children's birthdays.
So Ben is 7/29, so it could be like 0729.
What year?
2009. Lincoln is 10/13/2010. They're 14 months apart.
10/13 of 10.
Yeah. I was complaining about him at the lunch.
Sorry. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but she didn't cooperate fully after that. She never called to find out what's going on the investigation. And then she was freaking out, calling Ruth Markel when the hitmen were arrested, like she was nervous about it. Yeah, she does look. She looks more worried than upset. No, he died during the night, and then they had a service the next day on Saturday at the synagogue, and then she was out of town Monday morning.
What is going on?
She has to know she's still being filmed here. You know, she doesn't want to talk to the boys. Or she's thinking, no, don't take my phone. I need to call the boys. I want to say hi to the boys. Tell me more about Dan. How did Dan get shot? Where did he get shot? What do you mean he's not going to make it? There's no way. Take me up there right now. Does that look like she's worried about Dan's survival? Or is she thinking and plotting what next? How am I coming across? Is she think about how am I coming across to this detective? Yeah, you'd want to hear their voices. You want to see them right away. My gosh, your boys might have lost their father, and you just don't want to be there with them right away. Is that normal for a mom or a dad?
Okay, they're going to take your phone. They're going to hook it up to a machine, download the information. It doesn't take a whole lot unless you got a lot of stuff on there.
I don't know what's on there. I have to use the bathroom.
Okay, no problem.
Is there?
Yep.
Is it close by?
Yeah, it's real close by. Okay, you can leave your stuff there. It's not going anywhere, and I'll put you right around the corner here. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want some water after that?
Okay.
Okay.
Can't leave.
Not yet. You got somebody here?
Seriously? Okay. I'll hold it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We just have to eliminate everything, okay? You know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect. I can't
No,
get
you're
it.
not a suspect. I don't consider you.
So think about that. She's asking here 40, almost 42 minutes in, whether she's a suspect again, and she's not asking about what's the details about Dan. What's happened to Danny, as she calls him. I want to see my boys. I want to see Dan. Get me out of here. Tell me details, or I'm going up to the hospital to find out myself.
You a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I've not read you Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are the closest thing to family that I have to Daniel right now. Okay? You are.
I'm so sad for. I
So
was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes. We have week on, week off, but on Wednesdays we do an overnight.
right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds.
Again, she's trying to bring up the suicide thing. Why don't you ask details? Did they find a gun there at this where he was shot? You don't even know where he was shot at, other than they said Truscott. Where in the house, in a room in the house? Which room in the house? Was it the kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom? None of those details she asks about at all.
Kinds of plans like for next week that
Oh,
were
you're saying he would not hurt himself.
no,
Okay. All right.
it wasn't him.
Okay, for the third
He has
time
no
you said
reason
that
to hurt
now.
himself or anything along that.
No, I mean I can see him being really sad when we first got divorced,
Right.
but now he's got Amy, and
So by bringing up suicide, I think she's also trying to make it look like she's helpful trying to solve this crime, right?
he loves those boys,
Okay.
and things were really good for him. There's no way he did this to himself.
Again, that's the fourth time. He's really good to the boys. Yeah, which makes this even more despicable, tragic, and horrific.
I believe you.
It really scares me because it means there's someone out there that's willing to do this to him, and
I'm gonna have to leave town. I'm gonna have to go down to Miami now with my parents.
I'm scared for the kids.
I understand you're.
I'm scared for the kids. I got to get out of town. I'm gonna have to change their name. I'm gonna have to strip them of anything Markel.
I
And
understand
they're
you're.
at school right now, and I want to.
There's an officer at the school.
Okay,
The kids are fine.
okay.
Okay. There's no. The
I don't
kids
know
are.
how I'm gonna tell them.
Well, we're going to help you with that.
Okay. Wouldn't you just want to see him at first and worry about what to tell him later?
Okay. But here's what I have to do right now, and I'm just trying. I want to get this down, Pat. I know you don't have your phone to refer to,
Okay,
but that's okay.
you'll have all that information.
Right, because I'll check that against what you tell me.
Okay,
Your last phone conversation, okay, your last personal contact, in other words, in person with Daniel was when?
he goes by Danny.
Danny, okay.
No one calls him Daniel.
That's, I don't know him, so I'm
I'm
sorry.
just telling
Okay,
you
Danny.
so that it just feels really personal. My last face-to-face contact with him. Wow.
Well, you saw him there at the Whole
We
Foods.
do a lot of like leave off pickup at the school, right? Where one of us will take the kids to school, the other one picks them up. When was the last time I saw him?
Whole Foods.
I definitely saw him when I picked the kids up. I feel like there's something since then, but that would have been.
I'm on the way. I'm not familiar with the,
Okay, I'll get Annie, because she wanted it before.
And that was that morning I drove down, so that was June 30th,
okay,
whatever that Monday morning was that we drove down to Miami. I saw him, I met Amy. Then we did a lot of Skype, like we'd Skype every day while I was gone. But that's not in person. I came back with my parents. We drove back all together. And then that Friday, which would have been last Friday, a week from today. So if today's the 18th, it was Friday the 11th. That's my other brother's birthday. And I would have seen him, but I had been with the kids for like 12 days straight, and I was getting really sad at the idea of drop off of Danny coming to pick him up. And so my folks said, you know what, why don't you just, so at about 4:45, I just went over a friend's house. I didn't see him that day.
A lot of
And
details.
then he had the kids, and I got some sort of laryngitis, and I was alone all weekend. So that was Saturday, Sunday. And then this week, I missed the kids, so I visited them at school on Monday and Tuesday.
They were staying with Danny?
Well, if you have laryngitis, why would you go to the school? And you can't talk. Why would you be talking to them? You said you lost your voice. Right there's an inconsistency.
They were with Danny that whole time, but Danny and I had started on days when we really missed the kids. We'd go have like lunch with them or breakfast with them. So I went and had lunch with them or read them a story. I saw them Monday, I saw them Tuesday. Wednesday was my overnight. And so that was Wednesday, and then he had them Thursday was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I had face-to-face contact with him.
Was
June 30th.
June 30th, okay. And then yesterday, y'all were conversing on text about this phone call or about this discussion for Ben.
On email, I think,
Okay.
about, we'd both spoken with an administrator at the school, and so yesterday morning I emailed him and said, I'd really love for him to go to this school. I think we should accept it. Here's why.
Yeah, the school she applied to behind Dan's back, he didn't know anything about it. So this came as a shock to him that she was pursuing this other school there. That was a long shot, I guess, to get the boys accepted, but they got accepted, but she never talked to him about it because she had laryngitis that week.
Why, and then I asked him a second question about Ben's birthday coming up because I didn't have Ben on his birthday. He wanted this Lego thing, and I wanted to make sure that no one else got it for him. So I asked him if he was going to do a party for Ben, so I knew ahead of time whether people would be bringing presents or whatever, and so I knew whether he would have gotten it.
Not asking about Dan.
Buy it for him, and he wrote back and said,
What's the status of Dan? You said he's not going to make it. Well, is he dead yet? I mean, what's going on? I want to know the details about Dan. Nothing. No indications that she has any concern or wants to know the details because she's in shock and disbelief. Where's the hope that he's going to survive? You don't want to believe it that he's shot, not going to make it. That's too horrific for my boys. I don't accept that. You're going to have to give me details to make me believe that his life is about to expire.
when your voice feels better, let's talk, because my throat was really hurting. He said, let's talk. We need to work this out for Monday. And
you're talking on the phone all that morning. Why didn't you call him Friday morning? You said your ringer was off, yet other people got a hold of you. Why would you turn your ringer off as a mother?
I sent him an email. You'll see it sometime this morning while I was home working on my paper that said, okay, I'm ready to talk whenever you are. I don't know what time I sent it, but if I called him at 11:40, it was either before I called him, because I thought normally he would have called.
Okay.
Like when he said I'm done with the class at 10:30, and I had said, okay, let's talk, and then sent him a call or an email, like, I thought it was weird I hadn't heard from him, but I just thought, like, oh, maybe he's busy with something or showering. Or...
But he told you at some point that he was going to premiere this morning.
Yeah, no, that phone
when-
message says I'm going to premiere. I'll be out 10:15, 10:30. And so let's
When did-
call.
Keep in mind, she also went for a long walk with her friend Jane. What day was that? Tuesday? She went for a long walk and they were talking. So I think that can be proven to be a false statement.
Call me after that.
When did you receive that phone message?
Maybe after the repair guy left. So maybe
This
at
morning?
like, this morning, like
Okay.
at 11-ish or something.
All right. So you're at your house with the repairman. He leaves. You go back to working on your papers. And then you leave your house around noon, drive down, Trescott's blocked, you turn around, you go back around on Benton, and then you go to
There's a
the,
tree.
Trescott's blocked. No, it was blocked at the house, not Trescott. Detective Isom, she misled you on that. She drove all the way to the house and then turned around.
pardon?
I thought it was like a tree that fell down or something.
Right. So,
I didn't even think like that's the house. I just
Okay, well, why didn't you say this when Isom picked you up and said, you need to tell me now what's going on? Right now, tell me this. I'm not getting your squad car. Tell me what's going on now. Are my kids okay? And why are you trying to bring me down to the police station? What happened at Trescott? Why are you trying to bring me down to the station? You would not leave. Period.
I saw a few houses blocked off and I just
Now it's a few houses blocked off. No, it wasn't a few houses. It was like the house next door to Dan's, not even the full yard. It's like a half yard away. Now she's trying to cover her face again. So right there's an inconsistency. Isom apparently didn't pick up on a few houses. It maybe doesn't know where that house is in relation to that corner there of Centerville.
I'm sorry, I wasted
sorry,
my time.
no, you're not wasting my time. I think I asked you before, you don't have a number for Amy. You do not have a contact number for her,
Don't.
but you know she's a,
Why don't you just tell them, hey, all you got to do is Google her name, NY Law School, NYU Law School. Just Google her name, you'd see her contact info right there in her email.
professor at NYU.
Yeah.
You know that her and Danny have been seeing each other, and that she stayed here from the end of June to the 1st of July. Just,
At least 2
28
days maybe. Yeah.
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 and she met the children,
Yeah, she met a few friends in town too.
and you don't know anything about her ex,
No. I know she was married.
right?
Um,
And she has children
she has a son
in New York.
in New York.
Okay,
She's a son. I think he's 14.
okay.
Um,
Do you know how old Amy is?
she's 50.
She's 50?
Yeah. She doesn't look 50. She's very beautiful. She is, not that you can't be beautiful at 50, but she looks really young. She's very pretty and accomplished. And
So she's got really a great career going for her. And you're saying she's beautiful. So is there some jealousy there? She's a very accomplished professor, just like Dan is. She's not an adjunct, just teaching a couple hours a week. So there could be some jealousy there, right?
You know her date of birth?
I only know that she is 50. I don't, because I was looking her up one time, feeling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's laughing. Oh, you looked her up one time. All right, so yeah, and you would have seen her phone number and email. Why don't you pass that on to the detective here?
Okay, so she's 50. She goes by Amy Adler.
Her middle initial is M.
M. Okay.
So that, like, if you looked her up, oh my God, if you looked her up on the law school website, you'd find her that way.
Okay.
Her brother's famous, he's like a famous fashion designer, so I think they spend a lot of weekends like in the Hamptons, and she lives in the city and lives like, you know, good life.
Okay.
I'm surprised she's admitting this kind of stuff because this could feed into the jealousy kind of thing, right?
You gave me a name of Matt Price, who's in DC.
That's his best friend.
Is that an attorney?
He's an attorney, yeah. I'm sorry you have to deal with so many lawyers.
That's okay. I'm used to it. I got to deal with state attorney's office, public defender's office, private attorneys.
The only time I've ever been in this, I represent victims of crime. I represent immigrant victims of crime, so it's the only time I've ever been in this building is like
Okay.
advocating for my clients.
And the other friend,
That's a good thing to say for sympathy.
The other friend is Josh Berman, also attorney. He's in New York City.
a city attorney for New York.
No, he's private. They're both private.
Okay.
And they were like the historic best friends
Okay,
from college and law school.
and then of course Alex is up in Cairo.
I'm assuming they're close. I know that he sleeps over at their house a lot with the kids.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because the kids really love to play together or because they're close, but they
So
spend a
Alex
lot of
is
time
at
together. I'm
that-
sure they're close.
All right. Okay.
Danny's pretty religious, so
Look at how calm she's talking. It's like she's accepted the fact that Dan's been murdered. His life is ending, and there's no follow-up details to learn here. None at all. It's almost as if she knew exactly what happened to him. Isn't that a coincidence?
like he'd be connected with like rabbis and stuff in town too.
If Dan was alive
All
for
right.
another 11 hours or so.
Which synagogue does he go to?
He goes to two. The one he's most strongly affiliated with is Shomrei Torah. And by the way, if you get a nod that I can't use the bathroom, I could really use
Okay.
it. So
I'm gonna make
I
that
mean, I'm
happen
not
right
gonna
now.
die, but if I could just, that'd be great.
Way too calm. Way too calm. She's really doing deep thinking now about how to get out of this jam, but yet she's not asking the questions about Dan's survival.
Here we go.
Okay. Hi.
She's gotta
You
she
come
gotta
with
swab your
me?
hands.
Oh,
First, I'm gonna have to do your hands.
okay. Hi. What does GSR stand for?
Gunshot residue.
Residue? Okay. This is a really hard job you guys have.
Oh my gosh, please, really? Oh my gosh, you guys do such a hard job. Is that not trying to win yourself over? Remove any suspicion?
Yeah, all right, right hand. Okay, and are you right or left-handed?
I work with both,
Okay.
but right-handed.
Getting fingerprinted.
Okay. Since noon today, have you washed your hands at all?
I wish I could tell you I had, but I haven't.
Okay.
I'm filthy.
Or are they dusting for prints?
And a picture, correct?
Yeah.
Take a picture. I'm just gonna take a picture.
With my hands?
No,
No,
of you,
you-
just
You
stand up, and then you can go to the bathroom.
Okay.
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 All right, ready?
Do you need to escort me?
I'm just gonna walk you around the corner. It's not really, it's just showing you where it is.
I mean, are they looking for gunshot residue or something like that? Maybe that's what they're doing there. That's what I would think that they should be doing, but that's like the bare minimum. I think other than that, yeah, gunshot residue. I think that's the bare minimum they did. This interview here, and then pretty much you're less than an hour in, bringing the victim witness coordinator. So I'm surprised Isom did that. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Ingratiate herself. Where's the denials? No, you can't. That can't be true about Dan. That can't be true. What do you mean? What's the current status? Where was he shot? What do you mean he's not going to make it? How do you? I don't believe that. You got to tell me details. I need to see him. If it's enough to make you cry, it's enough to make you want to be there because you know he has nobody in town that's family, right? All right, so let me jump ahead here. This is 56 minutes in. Here we go.
What time do your kids get out of school?
So I think this school ends at like 5,
Okay,
but I usually pick them up early. Danny probably told him he was going to take them to Truesdale today, so they'll be expecting earlier. But 5, it would be.
that's what time they close?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll stay open.
Okay. Okay,
They were supposed to be with me this week, so normal for them, other than this swim bit, would have been to spend the weekend with me and
where did they sleep last night?
with Danny.
With Danny?
Yeah,
Okay. So Danny took them,
sorry,
go ahead.
I got a call. So he has an alarm system in the house, and I
Right.
must still be on the call list for people if there's a break-in. I got a call yesterday. I guess it'll be on the phone when it happened. I got a call from like the company with the alarm company that said like the alarm's been triggered, it's gone off. There's another family in town that we were really close with. The woman's name is Lynn, and she's on the list too, so she got a call. I know this because I saw her yesterday evening. I went to a friend's art gallery thing, and she happened to be there. It's a small town, and she said, "Oh, I guess I got a call from Trescott," and
Okay.
I said, "Oh, I got the same call." I said, "But I just figured it was fine." So they must.
It's like she's actually smiling. Look at that.
They called yesterday, and I don't remember what time it was. Maybe the morning, maybe the evening, but it happens sometimes every once in a while with weather, whenever the alarm gets triggered. So I didn't think anything of it, but I
Right.
wonder if there was like an attempted break-in yesterday.
I don't know. I'll have to check into that. Do you know what the alarm company is?
Why don't you text Dan and find out? You knew the boys were staying there that night. Why didn't you find out? That's so bizarre.
It's on my phone, right? The message
Okay.
that they left.
Sure.
I probably deleted it, but then I didn't delete
No,
my
she
deleted
doesn't know.
messages. So if
He's
you
not
look at the
died
video,
yet.
you
They
can
didn't
find
tell him
it.
he died.
If not, I could probably figure it out. And Lynn could tell you.
Isom just said that he's not going to make it. He didn't say when he's not going to make it.
Okay,
If you had to ask her,
that was yesterday,
it was yesterday.
but no calls today.
Mhm.
Where did the children sleep the night before? Did they even?
She basically ghosted Dan this whole week. Didn't want to talk to him. Saw him at Whole Foods, but avoided him.
They went Danny right along?
Yeah, except week on, week off, but with Wednesday overnights. So Wednesday night they were with me.
When you say Wednesday overnight,
It
Wednesday,
means like if it's a mommy week, then
Right.
they're with you all week. Except Wednesday night they'd go to Danny.
Okay.
If it's a Danny week,
Right.
so they're with him all week except Wednesday night they came to me.
all right, and then, so Wednesday
And
night,
that's the last time. I didn't tell you this, but I thought about it in the bathroom. I didn't have an interaction with him, but that's the last time I saw him was Wednesday. I picked up the kids and I was going to take them to Whole Foods.
There you go.
And I saw Danny working on his computer in the window of the Whole Foods, and I took him to BurgerFi instead
oh,
because he and
Took the boys to BurgerFi instead of going to Whole Foods so they could see their dad.
I were, divorced,
Right.
and interactions with him were hard. And it was my one day with the kids, and I thought, well, if we go inside, it's gonna be like all of us together, and I wanted time by myself
That's
with
fine.
them. So I took
Again, ghosting Dan that week.
them, but that's the last time I saw him. So I saw him sitting there Wednesday afternoon working.
He was inside Whole
He was
Foods?
inside Whole Foods with
Okay.
his computer,
Okay.
writing.
Yeah, BurgerFi. That's a good point. That's not kosher food, right? So Dan would not have approved of that.
And the kids came out?
The kids didn't see him. We
Okay.
were just about to enter. I saw him. I thought, oh, my one day with the kids,
Okay.
and so I went and got burgers instead.
To the BurgerFi. Okay. All right. So then Thursday,
I got a call.
you got called about the alarm. Had you had any contact with the kids during that time?
On Thursday, I had them Wednesday night. I brought them to school on Thursday, and then no, not after I dropped them off.
Okay.
And there's a record at school of when you log in. So
Right.
I probably dropped them off a little before 9, but they could tell you what
Okay.
time.
All right. And then, so then he kept them last night,
Mm-hmm.
Thursday night, and then he would have driven them to school.
Mm-hmm.
What time does he normally drop them off at school?
It varies. Sometimes he has breakfast with him. I got the call from him. It was 9:04, I think. So he must have already just dropped them off and was probably driving from school to the gym, and that's why he was saying, "Going to this class. I'll touch base with you after."
Okay. All right. And then no contact after
Nope.
that?
He ghosted
We
him.
had some texting contact. That's when I was saying that my last contact wasn't very nice. I was saying, well, I wanted to pick them up at 3, and he was saying, well, you are only allowed them after 4:30. And I was like, well, what about last week? I picked them up at 5, and he said I was just being nice. And I said, I guess nice was fun while it lasted.
Okay.
That's the extent.
Okay. All right. His parents and his family, do you have contacts for them in your phone?
I have contacts for at least one of them.
Okay.
I think I've been recently deleting them just because they don't call me. But at least one of them, I can tell you his, I don't know whether it's his dad's name. His parents are actually recently divorced.
Okay. We'll get the phone. When we get the phone back, you can supply those numbers.
Well, don't the kids ever want to talk to their grandparents in Canada when they're in your custody?
Okay.
All right. And then we'll attempt to contact them.
Oh my God.
Find out where they're at least in Canada.
It's just the worst thing you could have happen.
Again, thinking about what the Adelsons are going to say about her, she starts crying again or acting like she's
I
crying.
gotta ask you something. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you own a gun?
No.
Have you ever owned a gun? Have you ever fired a gun?
I think I went skeet shooting about 12 years ago.
Okay. Nothing since then. Does Danny own a gun?
Not that I know of, but maybe since I left. He didn't own a gun when I was with him.
Never had a gun around, or
No.
did he ever talk about buying a gun or anything?
He would talk about it, but he's a criminal law professor.
Right.
So sometimes he would talk about things just
Yeah.
to have a discussion about
Okay.
should we have a gun in the home? Is it dangerous?
Right.
As far as I knew, there was no gun in the house.
Okay. You don't know anybody that he owed money to? You don't know
Just
anyone?
me.
I know, besides you, but that was under court order. I'm assuming.
And we have lawyers, and he very much respects, as do I, the legal system,
Right.
so it was working its way through.
Yeah, I respect the legal system, but Dan's been calling me out on a whole lot of stuff, and I'm currently facing contempt of court accusations.
Okay.
But anyone he owes money to, I mean, he doesn't gamble, he doesn't drink, he doesn't have any vices, he doesn't
Right.
do anything weird. I can't imagine. I mean, I think he annoys people with his legal academia.
She's already accepted that he's dead and gone. Why would you accept that? No details. Yeah, all these details about other stuff, but not about what happened to Dan. What do you mean he's got shot? Where? How? When? Where at? How many bullets hit him? Where did they go? Where was he hit on his body?
And I think like in the ivory tower here, not like
Get me out of here. Take me up there. I want to be there right now. Nope.
not
Oh.
like I don't think he owed money to anyone. I can't imagine.
Okay. I really, I mean, unless you have,
Yeah, I didn't owe any money to anybody, but again, he owes you $120,000.
something I can't think of, I'm looking for some reason that someone would want to hurt him.
Not just hurt him.
Right.
I mean,
I know, but the intention,
I could see one of my friends wanting to shake him.
right,
But like, God,
Right.
no, no. I don't know who would do this, and I'm very scared because I don't.
What about your boyfriend, Jeff Lacasse? Your recent boyfriend, Jeff Lacasse, that just ended with him. Why don't you mention Jeff Lacasse as a suspect?
Understand why this would happen. He and I got along fine for the sake of the kids. You heard the message where he was like, well, maybe we'll just take a walk around school. And
right.
I mean, I found him hard to be around, but
You got along fine for the sake of the kids? Really?
so did a lot of people. They all knew he meant well. He was a decent, good human being. He wouldn't hurt anybody. He would never do this to anybody. I don't know who would want to hurt him like this. I really don't.
I need to ask you, was your divorce, you said before, had,
She looks nervous and worried. Does not seem like somebody traumatized over your two sons' father being gunned down on Trescott. And you don't ask any details, but aside from me not having any curiosity about those details, you do not act traumatized. This does not act like a traumatized person. She does not act in shock whatsoever.
nothing to do with infidelity, no extramarital affairs or anything like that.
Neither one of us.
It was just simply the fact that you all just didn't get along anymore, or was it just the fact that he was belligerent to you?
He never hurt me physically, but he was emotionally abusive.
Okay.
And I didn't tell most people that. So all most people know is
Oh, wait a minute. He's emotionally abusive, but you didn't tell most people. So which ones did you tell? So those would be the most likely ones to want to harm him, shake him up. Who are those people that want to shake him up?
it just didn't work out, and it's just the kids are young, and this is just better this way. So other than my family who saw the way he treated me, most people were, well, I think his family was very surprised. He told everyone around the community that I was mentally ill because only a crazy person
Wow, that's a big motive right there to take him out.
would leave him. And so there's a lot.
You're saying he was a decent guy. You didn't hate him. Why are you crying? So he's going around telling everybody in the community, not just a few close friends. He's telling everybody in the community you're mentally ill. And she's crying over the fact he got shot and may not survive. That doesn't make any sense. He's emotionally abusive. Are you crying because you're relieved because the abuse will stop now? Is that why you're crying? It's finally over. You can move to Miami now. She never mentioned she was trying to get moved to Miami with the boys. That she desperately wanted to move to Miami. She couldn't stand Tallahassee. She never mentioned that.
But you know who would? Yeah. So that, I mean, that's it. The circumstances played.
So think about it. He was a nice guy in the beginning, and now he turns out to be some nasty dude that your parents can't stand. He's emotionally abusive. You're crying because he's possibly gonna die, but yet you don't ask any details. None of this stuff is adding up. It's all just super suspicious, red flags all the way through this thing. The entire thing is full of red flags. And we're only an hour, 7 minutes into a 5-hour plus interview.
Simple where it just wasn't a really healthy marriage, and I thought it'd be better for the boys if they didn't grow up thinking that's the way you treat women.
Wow. You don't want your boys growing up knowing that's not the way to treat women. That sounds pretty pretty bad, nasty husband you had there.
But he didn't hit me, he didn't hit them. He didn't have a drug problem. He didn't gamble, he didn't cheat on me, I didn't cheat on him. There's no other, I keep thinking the only like unknown I can think of is like Amy's ex-husband. Like, is he still in the picture? Is he upset?
Right.
Danny.
All right. There you go again. I think the fact that she's still bringing up Amy Adler and now her ex-husband, he's still in the picture. So now it looks like Dan Markel's a homewrecker, and that's why the ex-husband came down to take care of the problem.
I defriended him from Facebook because I found it too upsetting to like see intermittent pictures of the kids. But I wonder,
Why would that bother you to see pictures of him and the kids? So you deleted Dan from Facebook. That's interesting.
very, very public on Facebook about like where he is, when he's traveling, where he's.
Well, that'd be one way to find out how the kids are doing, isn't it? If you don't like talking to him, you can find out the kids are doing fine at least. If he's posting pictures of the boys every day, what they're doing.
Going, and so I wonder if he's got pictures up of him and Amy, and if there's a jealous ex-husband.
Oh, speaking of jealousy, so is that maybe why you didn't want to see pictures of Dan? Because he's posting a lot of pictures of Amy Adler. He's been dating 7 months.
Do you know where this ex-husband would be?
He'd be in New York too.
Is he also an attorney?
I don't even know his name.
How would you know about the ex-husband, those kind of details? How would you know he's in New York? You also said you didn't know the status of their divorce. So how do you know he's technically still not her husband?
I just know they when Amy came down here, they went over a mutual friend of ours. It's a guy that works at the law school. This guy Jay and his wife Dory is a good friend of mine, and they have kids my kid's age. And I said to her,
now it's my kids, okay? So they're either his kids when they're with him, and they're my kids when they're with me. Isn't that bizarre?
saying, so what's she like? Like she met her before I did, and she said, she's really nice, and she's, very sweet, and she's recently divorced too, so she knows how awkward all of this is to meet the new person.
Boy, that's a lot of details here. You're not asking about Dan's status. Not asking more to see the kids, comfort the kids, even though they don't know what's going on with their dad. Very, very much bizarre behavior. Not consistent, I would say, with someone being shocked and finding out this tragic news. This very vague news, extremely vague news. And you're just accepting it that he's not going to make it, but no details sought out here from Isom.
I don't know, and I'm scared.
Have you had anything happen at your house?
Oh, now she's scared. Okay, this is a good setting up a good pretext to be able to flee the city.
No.
Nothing. And the information for Best Buy for the service tech that was there, that's at your house?
I'd be happy. I mean, if someone wants to
We'll
come back
get
with
that.
me.
We'll get that. And that was basically from when he came out there to serve, well, I guess to replace the
He
TV.
came out to fix it and then told me that what was
Replace. Yeah, he's thinking, replace. Who calls a geek squad to replace a TV? It was just a dorm size one, according to Jeff Lacasse. You don't have a warranty and have it replaced. You just buy a new one.
wrong with it wasn't fixable.
Right.
And so I called Charlie to find out.
Of course, it's not fixable. So you called Charlie, found out this is a big production. So this is why, if you study this case in detail, you see the TV repair was the code language for the hit.
Should I buy a new one or should I fix
Right.
this one?
Well, the repairman just told you that. You're a lawyer and you need to talk to your dentist brother in between patients. to see what you should do. There is no selection here. You buy a new TV. Yeah, distraction and misdirection. Exactly.
He was like, just buy a new one. And
And once he left, do you remember what time the serviceman left?
probably around 10, a
10.
little before 10.
Okay, well, he got there about, according to the police records I've seen, he got there about 8:20, which I think is way too soon. I think they were hoping for him to get there a lot later. And now she's saying he's there around 10. No, so he got there around 8:20. He was there for 40 some minutes. So it'd be 8:20. So if that's 40 some minutes, so he left around 9. Now she's already saying 10.
And then I left by 12.
But between that time, between 10 and 12, you were by yourself working on your papers and stuff.
Yeah.
Were you doing on papers or computer?
It was all on computer. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I sent some edits in to someone at the law library
Alright.
during that time.
Okay.
I called a few friends. I sent some texts. I mean,
Look at that. She's just totally calm, not too worried about anymore. And I've seen many more people shook up about a dog being killed, hit by a car or something than this.
all of that'll be
On the phone.
on the phone.
Or did you call from your house phone?
I don't have a house phone.
Okay. You use all your communications is over your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have more than one cell phone?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce you to a victim advocate. She's going to be very helpful. And she's going to, once the phone comes back, she'll get the numbers for his folks. Hey, you're saying everybody's in Canada. Is that correct? On his side of the family?
His family's in Canada.
Okay. Alberta,
No,
Quebec?
his mom and dad, his immediate
That's Ruth and
family's
Phil
in
Markel.
Toronto.
Okay.
His like aunts,
Toronto.
uncles, and cousins are all in Montreal. Everyone's English speaking.
Okay.
Any family no family in the States. They're all in Canada.
And that's where he's from originally?
He's from there. He came here for college and never left. So he's 41 and he's been here since he was 18.
Did he go to FSU for law school?
No,
Okay. Where did he go to law school?
Sounds pretty
Harvard.
calm.
Harvard. Okay. And then he got a position as a professor.
we moved up here for his job.
So you were in New York too?
No. I've never lived in New York.
Oh.
I was actually at University of Miami going to law school. We met, we got engaged, and then I was going to do my last year of law school up here. So in 2005, we moved here. He was a professor and I was a student for one more year. And then we moved back to Miami for a year, and then we moved here for a year. The reason why I say his parents are going to say I did it is because after we got divorced,
Yeah. His parents are going to say I did it. Wow. That's a massive red flag right there. So Phil and Ruth Markel would tell this detective that they think you're the person behind this murder.
I wanted to move to South.
Okay, did what? Also, did what? You don't know what the did is other than shooting him. You don't know where he shot. You don't know that for sure he's not going to survive because you didn't ask any details. So she just accepts the fact that he's dead and gone.
Florida, and I filed a petition to relocate in the court, and the court said no.
Because
So,
of the kids.
because I mean, yeah. So you can always leave. You just can't leave with your kids. So,
Yeah.
So we're
All this would be played out in front of a jury. Okay, everything we're going through here tonight, this would be played out in front of a jury when charged.
we're in Tallahassee because of Danny's job. So
He taught at UM before he came up here?
he didn't. He had that year at FSU, and then UM said they wanted to hire him. So I worked there for a year. He worked there for half a year. We commuted back and forth to FSU, and then UM didn't hire him, and so we moved back to FSU.
No, it's actually, see, that's also not true here. She's not telling the truth because it was a joint package deal. They had to hire the both of them and at Miami, and it was a package deal. And because it was a package deal, they did not ask him to stay on. And there are some indications that was because of Wendi, not because of Dan. So she's not telling the full story there.
And I've been here since like the 07 school year.
I'm gonna go get the victim advocate, all right, and introduce you to her. And as soon as we get your phone back, I'll probably want you to show me some of those text messages. I know it's gonna be on the record,
Okay.
but I may want to ask you that, and then we'll try to get everything expedited, so you can be there when your kids get picked up from school.
Right, because what the alternative would be like a police officer.
Yeah, we don't
That
want
would
to
be
do that.
scary.
I want you to come pick them up.
I mean, instead of a police officer, if it can't be me, I'd rather it be like a family friend or something.
Well, we could do that too.
Okay,
if
I'm
you'd
just saying,
rather.
like, I
Yeah.
do not want, I think they'll get really scared. If
No.
the
All
cops are taking
the
them.
officer's done is checked on your children and made
Okay.
sure they're at school. We just had to find out where they were and where you were. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
okay.
Yeah, she didn't bring up that Holocaust ring, right?
I can put my IDs away and
Yes.
Oh my god.
Totally calm now. Sounds more worried still. Worried about herself. She's not worried about Dan Markell. Not worried about her boys. Look at that. She's just sitting there and not asking, what's the current status of Dan?
Wendy, this is Sarah Latour,
Hi, Sarah.
victim advocate.
How are you?
Sarah,
Yeah, I'm
victim
gonna sit
advocate.
on this side of you, if you don't mind.
She's not a suspect anymore. She's a victim advocate because she's been cooperating. And I don't think Detective Isom picked up on all these indicators.
So I have to meet you under these circumstances.
I'm usually a lot more fun.
I've been trying to kind of find some next of kin information on his parents.
Do you want their names?
Yes, that would be helpful.
His dad is Phil Markell.
And they're in Canada.
They're in Canada. They're in Toronto.
Toronto.
Uh-huh.
Must have thought.
Okay. His mom's name is Ruth Markell.
Are they married still?
They just got divorced. They're 70. They just got divorced after like 30 something or something.
And when you say they're 70, are they in good health 70?
Yeah, they're young. They're like,
70 but not 70.
my dad just turned 70.
So they're 70. So that
Very
means
young,
they're
70.
81 now,
So they're
around
both
81 this year.
I don't think they're
Still
living
waiting
together.
for more
Truthfully,
justice on this
Danny
case.
and I got divorced in the last 2 years, and they separated in the last 2 years. So
Okay.
I'm fuzzy on the
And
details.
that's okay. And you were going through your thing and they were
Yeah, this Wendy here is an unindicted co-conspirator. They've not charged her yet, despite all the evidence.
probably going through theirs. at the same time.
Yeah, I have that skirt.
Do you?
It's pretty.
Okay, so Dan is still in the hospital. You don't even know if he's died yet. You're being told he's not going to make it, though. And you're worried about her, what she's wearing for clothes? Really? Unreal. Unreal.
Marshall said I think I might have him. A lot of people do.
He has a sister that he's really close with.
Is she in Canada too? And what's her name?
Her name's Shelly Markell.
Is Shelley short for something?
It's not.
Okay. Does she have an EY in there or is it
No,
just?
it's Shelly. I'm sure you do this all the time as your job, but like I cannot believe this is happening.
It's not a normal situation to be in and it's never easy or.
She's worried about bonding with this lady here, the victim advocate. She's not worried about finding out about Dan and wanting to see her boys and run up to the hospital.
Anything like that. So all your emotions and stuff you're feeling are okay right now, okay?
I'm so worried about my kids. I don't know how I'm gonna tell them what happened.
And you know what they're
Okay, she's all worried about how she's going to tell the boys, but she's not worried about seeing them right away. Isn't that bizarre? She's not worried about having the boys be brought up to see their dad, or at least be in the hospital where their dad is, to huddle together as a family. Unbelievable.
They're so little.
And, it is difficult sometimes for little kids because their perception.
Yeah, that's true. 3 and 4 years old. They're so little. For them to comprehend this is just so, so evil. Whoever did this, right?
realities.
They love their dad.
Yeah, that is an absolute truth statement. That's the one massive truth you said here today. And Dan
Sorry,
loved
you can
them.
ask me questions.
No,
I'm just-
you're fine. Talk to me about what you want to talk to me about.
It's fine. I'll tell you what you
No, you're good though. Like, I want to be here for you too. Like, I can stay very strong.
She did her best to convince Isom she's not a suspect, and now she wants to make sure that she's ingratiating herself to this victim advocate, Sarah.
I just like I can't believe this is happening.
It doesn't mean it's tragic, right? You can't believe this happening. It's finally happened. Dan Markel's out of my life. Could that be one of the meanings of that comment? What is it? You can't believe it's happening. What? That he's finally being killed off? He's not dead yet. What is it? You still don't know what the real it is.
I don't understand, and I'm very scared because if this can happen, like, what if someone's gonna come after the kids? Like, why are
There you go. She's projecting her sudden move down to Miami.
who did this, and why would
And
they do
from-
this?
And from what they're missing, they haven't had any.
Who would do this? Again, a response to try to get information from the police department. What has she been told of who did this? Why not? What are you doing to find out who did this? What leads do you have? What's the status of Dan? All these kind of details. She's a lawyer, for crying out loud.
Indications of that.
Do you
And no
think someone could
details?
watch the house where I'm
Unreal.
gonna be with the kids tonight to make sure
Not a
that
single
nobody
juror
comes
wouldn't
after
think
us?
We'll discuss
something
that
is
type of stuff.
seriously,
I'm gonna make sure
seriously
I know all your
amiss
concerns
here.
and fears. Okay.
I just
Just take stuff one step at a time though right now. I know it's hard.
I don't know how I'm gonna tell them.
I can tell you this. I think it's gonna be
It's all about telling me. It's not about comforting them. It's not about, hey, how are my boys going to survive without their dad? They loved him. He loved him, and they had such a wonderful bond. How dare somebody do this to my boys? How dare you need to go after him? She's never talking about get after this shooter. Never a single word about that. Never makes demands on the police.
that's coming from you. You're their mother. And you seem very educated and put together. And it sounds like you've gone through a lot the past 2 years.
Sounds like gone a lot the past 2 years. Yeah. That's what she was picking up on, because you made Dan to be out such an abuser.
Yeah, but the kids have been doing so well with everything. They're really like happy, well-adjusted kids. There's so many people in their
So it
life
sounds
that
like you all are
love
doing
them.
the right thing.
So why don't you demand them find the killer? Why don't you find out details? See if he's going to survive. Why do you accept the fact that he's dead and gone? They never said he's dead and gone.
And I get why I would be a suspect, but the idea that we were just
I guess I understand the idea why I'd be a suspect is what she's saying.
The past 2 years.
yeah, but the kids have been doing so
Which she's thinking, oh, you've been through a lot the last 2 years. So you're saying understand why I must be a suspect. So she's trying to acknowledge and deflect on that again.
well with everything. They're really like happy, well-adjusted kids. There's so many people in
So
their
it
life
sounds
that
like you all are
love
doing
them.
the right thing.
There's so many people in their life. So why would you try to take them out of Tallahassee? Why are you trying to move them out of there if they're adjusting so well there and everything's going so great? They got accepted to the school. Why are you trying to fight Dan in court to bring him down to Miami permanently.
And I get why I would be a suspect, but the idea that we were divorced, but the idea that I would ever
That's still in the back of her mind. She's a suspect. She's worried about her being a suspect. She's not worried about Dan.
do anything is like,
She's assuming Dan's he's been murdered. He's not going to survive.
I understand.
It's like she's been told he's not going to make. He's consider him dead. Mission accomplished.
I understand why they need to check, but I don't know who would though. I don't know who would do this. I can see why they would think it would be me.
Again, talking about why they would think it's her. Very bizarre. You don't even know what exactly has happened. Why aren't you asking them, what are you doing to find the shooter or shooters?
And I don't think, and did Investigator Isom talk to you at all about like what your role is in this?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
And a lot of times they do stuff just to kind of cancel you out too.
It's fine. I understand.
Okay.
I understand. I just
Yeah, she's
can't
fishing all
believe
right.
This is happening. So I do best with being helpful. So why don't you tell me what I can do?
I can't believe this is happening. That just sounds like something she's been rehearsing down there in Miami for a couple weeks, right? Sort of a script to follow.
Help you.
Okay. Well, give me the parents' names. I know you probably, if you have any of their phone numbers, I know you don't right now, probably from memory either.
It's in my
because-
phone.
Right.
I don't remember them.
So we'll wait for.
They lived in Toronto, and I didn't have a really close relationship
Okay.
with them before the divorce.
Okay.
And after the divorce, it's been, I've sent his sister like happy birthday messages, but it hasn't. It's not close. So I don't.
Right, you didn't have a reason to really have communication with them, and that's okay.
Okay, so other than their names,
Right, that's probably all you really.
no, I'm asking like what can I do?
Let's see. You can, worry about you and your boys. Start thinking who would be someone that you want here for you that's here in Tallahassee now
What do you mean here for me? Like for what?
for support for you, because you're gonna have to go.
I'd really like my family to come.
Okay.
They're not here, but
Where are they located?
I'm just so upset right now that I'm worried about parenting effectively. So if
Well, and that's why.
if my parents were here, they could help me. They're really close with the kids, so they could help me. I feel like you and I look a little bit alike. Do you see this as you're looking at my
Oh my gosh. Really? I think you and I look really alike.
face?
You have very pretty blue eyes. They're much bluer than mine.
But I feel like, anyway, it's like
Really? You're not worried about Dan details yet? How Dan is doing? What's his status? What do you mean he's not going to make it? Who would ever accept that response to say he's not going to make it and just leave it at that? No follow-up questions at all. None at all about somebody you cared
my hair,
about.
my sister, similar hair. I must look awesome right now, but when I'm not.
And you're talking about your hair not looking awesome. She's saying it sarcastically, I must look awesome, but really?
In crisis.
But I'm not one in a crisis. So she's trying to say that she's in a crisis. Who talks about they're in a crisis? Yeah, she's got that laugh going on.
I'd really like my parents to be here and help me
Okay.
with the kids.
And so for my information, what are your parents'
So they can
names?
turn around and drive back to
I
Miami
feel
in a
like I
couple
should be
days.
the one to tell them.
No, I don't want. I'm not gonna go tell them. I'm just
Yeah.
more of, as
Who's
this
with
time
you?
goes on, right? When you're referring to people, I want to know. Who you're
Sure. My parents' names are Donna and Harvey Adelson.
Now, what you got to understand about Detective Isom is that they did not do any follow up on Wendi. They did not search her computer. They did not search her emails at the time. There's a lot of stuff they never suspected her at all. At least they didn't do any follow up to indicate that they considered her a suspect, and that's what's so shocking.
And did you say they were in Florida?
They are. They're They're splitting. They're sort of in the process of retiring.
Okay.
I mean, semi.
Mhm.
Yeah, so why didn't they just buy a condo up in Tallahassee? And when you have visitation, they could fly up or drive up and see the boys at that time.
So they work together. They're super happy and in love. 40 plus years.
Okay, right there. Red flag, red flag. They're super happy and in love, 40 plus. Who says those kind of details? You're pumping them with all these details, make you look like you got such an awesome family, and yet again, flooding them with all these details, but not asking details about the most important reason that you're there.
Years in, so they like live in Coral Springs for part of the week and then in Miami for part of the week. So today is Friday and they're in Miami.
Okay, so
So they just had set up 2 places to live, both places, right? A place for you, then it can live in Miami because that's where you really want to live.
for them,
How
is
convenient.
Miami like their weekend home like for them?
My brother Charlie got this place for them to sort of have them try living in Miami. So sometimes on the weekends they all hang out together. So they'll be there.
Yeah, and they want you down there. That's why they're coming up to get you, right?
And like I said, I'm not gonna notify your parents or do anything like that. I was just, like I said, getting that more of just so.
For future, yeah.
And do you have anyone in Tallahassee that you consider your go-to person here?
I have a lot of, I'm not saying this to be bragging, I have like a number of people that
You have
I
a
feel
good network.
I do. The person who feels most like family is my friend Lynn.
Lynn? Okay.
She's just a bit older than me, and I'm very close with her family. She has 4 kids, and I'm kind of like an aunt to the twin girl.
All right, so with that, we're about, gosh, we've been going on here for, it's almost midnight, so we've only got an hour and 22 minutes into this. So I'm going to cover more of this in segments. So we can cover, I'm thinking, cover it later in the week. So, and then I'll also cover some more, maybe her trial testimony. I saw someone asking about that. And I also can go over indicators again. There's revamped indicators of things Wendy has said and done. So, indicators of involvement. So, anyway, yeah, this is really bizarre. Keep in mind, they even call it here an interrogation. Most places you see it being called an interrogation. It was not an interrogation. It was only an interview. They had no other details to indicate she was a suspect. They had nothing to question her on. No gotcha type information. So definitely an interview, not an interrogation. So, all right, with that, we'll go ahead and sign off for now, and I'll be back covering this later in the week, and we'll go from there. So, y'all have a great week. Thanks for supporting Justice for the Markells. And this trial's kicking off the 19th of August. Jury selection will probably take a couple days, and then they'll probably have a 2-week trial. And then I expect her, Donna Adelson, to be convicted just like Charlie. And then hopefully we're going to see Wendi pursued as next up, just like her brother and her mother. So that's it for now. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.